Good morning and welcome to the program. This is the Dialogue on Salt TV. Welcome to the big debate. My name is Prince Apollo. We reflect on major events of the week. The panel is set to take us through the events which made headlines, still looking at the aftermath of the highly contested Kawempe by-election and the outcomes of that election now being on trial, ready for contestation in courts of law. Dr. Jared Wanzala is in the studio, and he is a public policy researcher, but also an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. We've been joined by Farida Rule, and Farida Rule is an election expert, formerly working with SEDU and currently working with Ushahidi Foundation Uganda, one of those organizations that oversee election processes in Uganda. Well, Male Kenneth is also an NRM politician from Lubaga. He's with us this morning. Let me welcome you to the big show, and we kick off the discussion. Well, of course, after a very busy week, Parliament approved the deployment of Uganda People's Defense Forces in Sudan. We are currently in Juba and hopefully doing good work. Hope it was very important to have Parliament approve that deployment, knowing that the troops were deployed hastily after things went wrong and the security situation was getting out of hand in Juba. Let me take the pleasure and honor to have Dr. Werihe speak to our viewers, and we kick off the big show. Dr. Werihe.
Yeah, thank you very much, Apollo. Good morning, my colleagues in the studio. I also greet our viewers, and I'm happy to be here in the health state. Special greetings to my people in the United Republic of Chirinya.
Sure.
We love you so much. We love you so much, and I'm here to engage with you for the next 2 hours. I made a decision that every Saturday I should be talking about road safety for 1 minute.
True.
This morning, I was looking at a report on road safety, and 19% of the road crashes are the collision between pedestrians and cars, okay, and motorcycles. So it means that even people who are walking should take care.
Sure.
When you are crossing, I think we forgot, look left, look right, look left again before you cross. Or sometimes when you are crossing and the car is joining the main road, sometimes you take it for granted that the person who's driving has seen you, and please try to avoid in front and use the back of the car to avoid being knocked. So that is my message for today.
I'm sure I saw a report from the Directorate of Traffic and Road Safety. There was an operation this week, and more than 40 people were rounded up in drunken driving, in an operation to curb drunken driving.
Yes, it is one of the biggest forms of indiscipline we are doing in Uganda. By the way, the biggest contributors to road safety, to road crashes, are one, speed, and then the other, behavioral issues. Behavioral issues include drinking and driving, because you are mentally, disabled at that time, and therefore you will speed or you will cross where you're not supposed to cross.
Sure.
So please, we need to change our manners. We need to reduce the speed. And we encourage the police to continue, because some of these drunkards have become so stubborn that they even share a message. They form WhatsApp groups to inform each other about the location of traffic officers. This is very dangerous. Why you are informing someone to escape and go and kill another person? It's so dangerous. Let's be responsible if we have to do it. If we must.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jared Wanzala. Farida, let's speak to our viewers, and just a quick comment on road safety.
Good morning, our viewers. Farida Rule has been introduced. Mama Karulu.
Okay. That's impressive.
Mama Karulu, I'm here to breastfeed everyone who is disenfranchised with in regard to elections. Anyway, back on road safety, I think this is too bad. The situation is too bad. People may not even know because you have not been to the hospital, you've not been to those police stations to see how people have actually caused very many accidents.
True.
We have just lost a lady, a teacher of Sapolo Kagwa with who had a baby, who had her kid. So it is so sad that she was just traveling back and then taxi person, actually taxi driver knocked her. No, that reckless driving is becoming so common because I don't know who is supposed to be on the road, who is supposed to drive when, because these people, you'd find someone, he's busy talking on phone, but he's driving very fast. And then you know, for me, when I'm in that taxi, I'll just tell that person, please, can you stop there? And I actually get out of this car because you are not safe. You're seeing a person, and if we all get that responsibility of putting these people to action, as in put them back to order. If you see a border person driving recklessly, stop him and tell him, please, take one.
It is my money.
It is my money. It is my time.
It is me who called
you to actually take me. Please stop here. And then you get another border. But I don't know how Ugandans are. You know, someone is driving recklessly, but you're still on a border and you stick on it as if it is the only border there. Even in the taxi, we have to teach these people a lesson. You see, someone is in the is actually driving badly. You are seated, all of you, quiet. And you're putting your life in danger.
I think with the bus drivers in the bus transport industry, somehow they have managed it. Somehow they, I remember they even have they issued orders, directives to even have a portrait of the driver behind his seat, the telephone number which a passenger can use to call and inform police authorities that there is reckless driving happening here. So I think with that group transportation, it is possible. But with the border rider, I think that's where the problem still,
everyone is on
even
the
in
road.
Taxis. I think that's where it is still.
But I think we should borrow a leaf from Kenya. I've never seen a Kenyan bus actually get involved in an accident. I don't know whether those people are so steady, whether they are trained. I don't. So I think the bus people also should pick a leaf from the Kenyan drivers.
All right. Thank you so much, Farid and Male Kenneth.
Yes, please.
Happy to have you on this show. Speak to our viewers. And quickly a comment. We see these days very many traffic officers on roads.
Yes.
But like your colleague said here, the accidents, road crashes are still on the rise.
Yes. Thank you, Apollo, and thank you, my colleagues. One, before I take on that, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity and also the management of Salt TV for this opportunity. Greetings to my people of Rubaga South. Back on that one, I agree with Doctor and I agree with my sister here, Farida. I think it goes back to us, the responsibility on us. One,
the passengers.
Yes, the passengers. When you are seated in a taxi, life is yours. It is not anybody's life.
True.
So if the driver is driving recklessly, it is incumbent upon you, the passengers, to say, look here, driver, stop us here. It is our life, it is our money. Two, equally like a border. Many accidents on borders and taxis and buses, they have occurred because of reckless driving and reckless riding. So once that one is born in the minds of the passengers, then the rest can be sorted.
True.
Then on the traffic officers,
there are very many on roads.
They are very many on roads.
These days.
There is a saying in Uganda that if these rats, if they are very many in the house, they will even fail to do anything for themselves. They cannot even dig a hole for themselves. I think they are many for nothing. work which is supposed to be done by 2 or 3 or 1 traffic officers, you find them crowded around the road. What is it? What they are looking for money.
Sure.
Not looking for offenses. Between you and me, you have seen traffic officers catching taxi drivers, any mistakes, offenses, but an offense is resolved
There and then.
there and then. So I
believe the presence of traffic enforcement officers on roads plays a role in reducing offenses and fatalities. Their presence matters, I hope.
Yes, their presence matters, but if you look at around the town, around the city area, I heard that police was, actually this I was told by a senior police officer, that collection of the express
Penalty
fees had become a problem, and the areas were about 100 billion in areas.
Also, they are
so they
to
arrest
collect
someone,
money.
give 3 tickets, you find the taxi guy has 4 offenses with the 4 tickets, but he finds it easy to bribe and pay 20,000 and be let off the hook. So they are busy in town, but with a pile of tickets. So the strategy was that have so many officers such that you reduce the incidences of them being corrupted when there are many on the stage. But I don't know if that is working. That's how complicated it is.
They connive.
Okay, we hope we hope they will do a good job on the roads.
1 second.
Because road crashes are becoming a serious challenge. I request that we kick off the big discussion. Dr. Gerard Werewanzara, His Excellency the President, wrote a letter over the weekend, last weekend, and it speaks about a criminal investigation that has been instituted over the irregularities which happened during the Kawempe North by-election. The President notes that there was intimidation, there was ballot stuffing, and he even says the reason as to why some ballot boxes were kicked and smashed, and he talks about more than 50 polling stations having been vandalized, and he says perhaps those who were behind those irregularities were okay. They were doing it because they knew NRM had big support, and that's where we will start from, Doctor. Why is it that NRM is insisting to have an investigation, but also a petition taken to court over the outcome of the Kawempe by-election results? Why do you think? What do you think is the motivation? And because we knew, we all know that this was an opposition constituency. It was in the hands of the opposition in 2021, but this time around, looks like the ruling party sees an intrinsic value in this constituency. I don't know where you can pick up from, but let's kick off this discussion looking at the aftermath of the Kawempe by-election.
Thank you very much, Apple. You know, every time you bring this topic, it is so hearty to me, because the reason why it is so hearty to me is that I'm looking forward to a time when we shall have an election, and then the parties come out when they are contented, because the process is perceived to have been fair, from the update of the voters register to campaigning, nomination campaigns, and being peaceful on the voting day. Unfortunately, this is a dream which we are still yearning for. as Ugandans. I had the opportunity to read the president's statement, which was shared on his social media handles. I took time, downloaded, like I told you previously. I love reading the president's writings because at times I get wisdom from them.
True.
But this particular one, I looked for the wisdom in it. I did not see.
Oh.
Reason being that one, the president was lamenting.
Okay.
He seemed to write in a manner that he is not in charge of this country. He is not in charge of the army and the armed forces to know where they are deployed and what they are doing, okay, in relation to their constitutional mandate. And also he seems to say that he's a victim of electoral malpractices
And his party.
since 1980 up to now, even when he's the one who is in charge of organizing the elections since the RC Resistance Council. Because President Museveni, in the sowing the mustard seed and the 10-point program, dreams of a democracy where he envisages one man, one vote, and then people, the people's elections count, people's votes count. Now, if he's in charge 40 years, almost 40 years, and he's still lamenting about electoral malpractices, and even crying about
Why do you call it lamenting? The
Because,
president, as the chairman of the party, a party that fielded the candidate, he's speaking from the leadership of the party, having witnessed the irregularities we all witnessed in that direction.
Yeah, the reason why I'm calling it lamenting, Apple, one is that we have had elections, okay, in this country. Let me bring you to the viewers to the attention of 2001, when Dr. Kizza Besigye first took President Museveni to court. In the ruling of the Supreme Court at the time, the justices of the Supreme Court then, the Kanyehambas, the Late Sekokos, there are quite many. They ruled that, one, there were issues to do with a partisan behavior of security forces, particularly the army. Now, in 2025, when President Museveni is still in charge, we saw the army still beating people in Kawempe on the street. And you know now, the information age, you cannot hide. You will beat journalists like they did, but there is what we call citizens journalism, whereby we all hold smartphones. You are beating down, someone is on a flat recording you. And by the way, what we spoke here, that this conventional media like yours will even go and edit. But with the citizens journalism, people will record the video as it is and share it the way it is. So
the president justifies the deployment of the army in the same letter and blames it on the indiscipline from the side of the opposition, that now they have invited the NRM and the forces to intervene where police would have been in charge.
yes, I was building my point, saying that why should I call it lamenting? During the 2016 elections, when we first made attempts to introduce a biometric system, the Supreme Court ruled that we did not have the regulations to guide the use of technology in voting. I have seen in the president's statements lamenting about it. I believe he was saying he believes introduction of the biometric system would be the ideal. At that time, the Supreme Court, led by the previous Chief Justice, even gave 10 directives. One of them was produce regulations for technology, use of technology in voting. It is now how many years?
Yeah, more than 10 years.
9 years. We're coming 10 years. No electoral reforms have been brought. Who is in charge? Who is supposed to bring them? The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Who reports to the president? Now, who is in charge of the army?
So from
the CDF.
From the letter,
the CDF reports
you see
to the president.
You see the chairman of the party lamenting. But
I am seeing a person we entrusted with executive powers to run and improve this country with power, but lamenting like any other person on the street. And maybe lastly, why I think the president is not very serious on this matter. We had one of the worst by-elections for LOC5 were in Bukedea district. The gentleman who was challenging the official candidate, by the time he arrived for nomination, his documents were confiscated, he was beaten, his clothes were torn, he was basically undressed to the cameras. The president said he's not going to entertain. And by the way, in that area, it was NRM versus NRM. To date, we saw the RDC arrested, we saw the DPC arrested. To date, if I ask even the president how that matter was concluded, probably he doesn't know, because we have not seen these people either convicted with all the evidence, charged, convicted, and imprisoned. Okay, so it means we are not serious about.
We are not serious about it. You talk about the NRM chairman when we have an NRM member in the studio and a leader to that effect.
Yes.
Male, speak to the letter from His Excellency the President, which Dr. Gerard thinks is full of lamentations.
Yes. Thank you very much. And thank you, colleagues, Doctor. On the onset, we must sympathize with those who were treated badly in the elections, because human dictates that wherever someone is in problems, you must sympathize with that one. That said, in the very first place, we must make a difference. We must make a clear distinction between President Museveni of Republic of Uganda and Mr. Museveni, the chairman of NRM party.
Who wrote that letter in that case?
In that case, the chairman of the National Resistance Movement, national chairman, in that capacity. Once we draw that distinction between Mr. Museveni, the chairman of the party, national chairman of the party, who went to Kawempe to whose support, to galvanize support for the NRM candidate, then we shall sort everything. That said,
so wait a minute. When the president talks about violence,
when the chairman of NRM,
the violence we know was also partly okay, the violence in which the army, for which he is the commander-in-chief, is implicated.
Mr. Moderator,
are you saying Mr. Museveni is accusing President Museveni?
Mr. Moderator, in this debate, we want to talk about the chairman of the party, national chairman of NRA. He's also complaining as the chairman of the national party,
not lamenting,
in which he had a candidate, because squarely everybody in that candidate was affected. I mean, in that race was affected. The voters, the candidates themselves, those people were using the road, everyone was inconvenienced. So he's complaining as a chairman, the national chairman of the party. That's why himself has put on table concerns relating to that. And he has requested an investigation into that as a chairman of the
How
party.
far has those criminal investigations gone from?
Well, up to date, I don't know how far, because one, I'm not the one investigating. Neither am I part of that machinery. But what I know and what is clear with you is that there is an investigation ongoing. Why? If it is found so and so and so and so was involved, then this is a criminal investigation. He's also concerned.
What if it is found out that the problem, the violence, was partly caused by the heavy deployment and the involvement of the army in an electoral process?
Then the law will take its course. The law will take its course. We are in a society that believes in the rule of the law and constitutionalism. It will take its course, definitely. And that's why, anyway, the national chairman of my party has requested for an investigation, nitty-gritty, to bring out the root cause, and also to bring out, or spell out, those who were involved.
Farida Lay, you were an accredited observer in that election, the Kawempe North by-election. I hope you saw firsthand what happened. The president is asking for a criminal investigation. Do you think it is important that the Kawempe by-election should be audited?
Thank you, Prince Apollo and my colleagues. This is very important. And first of all, it is absurd what happened in Kawempe. I was there. I saw everything. Most of the happenings in Kawempe on that day, I witnessed them. First of all, an election is prone to be audited. Every process in an election, every election, because usually it has not happened in Uganda, but some other countries have called for to audit the
but
elections.
This is for criminal offenses.
For criminal offenses.
Alleged.
Sometimes you want to laugh when you have lost someone, like maybe you've lost your mother, your relative, and someone makes something that actually can make you smile. First of all, who signed off that letter? When he says that the chairman of NRM is the boy, you have to address him.
Let me
as the
check
chairman
the
of
signature.
And if I remember very well, like Doctor said, he read the letter. I think
it is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda.
Perfectly. So that any issue to do with his chairmanship, it doesn't arise at this point.
Not the chairman of the National Resistance Movement.
Exactly. He signed off that letter as the President of the Republic of Uganda.
Critical observation you've done.
Exactly. So now we are addressing him as the President. And if we are to tackle this later, we have to look at his position as the President signing off. First of all, I feel that the President is being dishonest to the country and to everybody who participated in the Kawempe by-election. There is a group that actually, the local council, those people who were nominated to participate in the local council as councillors of Kazo Angola, up to now they have not been declared because of this mess. They put in a lot, they paid their nomination fees, but they have not been declared. And they will not hold, the Electoral Commission will not have to hold an election in that Kazo Angola until maybe next.
You find it
I find it so
peculiar
because these people have a right. They came up, participated, and went through all the due processes to stand to be elected. So right now, no one will tell them that why? Because when I come to you as Electoral Commission, I think you have the mandate to actually give me back, or to protect me, or to make me actually realize my dream. If I have failed, tell me. If I have
as an election observer and expert, do you blame the Electoral Commission for that delay, for those delays, or where do you think is the problem?
I want to put the whole problem to the president since he signed that letter. One, the institution, the security, none of the 197 polling stations, no, The 197 polling stations in Kawempe North were all guarded, fully guarded, with not only one security person. First of all, we had a polling constable. Apart from having each and every polling station had a polling constable, each and every polling station had more than 10 security people, other security agencies, the army, and I don't know, even people who are not actually dressed in the uniform. How
did you know that they were from security?
Because when we were at the stakeholders meeting, some people actually introduced themselves that we are, as in Bambega, right? The spies of government. But for them, they will be there in that election, but you will not see them. So I assume that most of them who are, you could see that this person is really from security. When you see at the look of the person, you can actually detect. But leave alone those ones. But even the security who were recognized, fully dressed in security apparatus, there were more than actually 10 at each and every polling station. So if we had more than a heavy deployment, good deployment, with security prepared, with electoral commission prepared, everyone was prepared for that election. Where did the goons pass to actually disorganize the election, which had more than 10 people guarding that whatever?
So what is your suspicion? What is in your report?
My suspicion is that, first of all, I'm not going to empty my report because it has detailed analysis. But for the benefit of our viewers, the president should summon the security people, all the security agencies who are in Kawempe. What happened? You were in Kawempe to protect the
I think that is the purpose of the criminal investigation.
No, before even he comes back to us, because he's in charge, before he comes back to us to write to the whole country, he must have summoned all those commanders in Kawempe North, because Kawempe North had like the security, the specimen pretendant, this one inspector this one, everyone was in Kawempe. So before I issue a statement, if I was the president, before issuing the president a statement to show the whole public that I'm also as innocent as you, the voters, as the candidates, I should exercise my right and summon the people who are actually in Kawempe. First of all, I would summon the electoral commission chairperson, I would summon the security people, and we have a meeting. So they brief me, and then that is when I can come out and either apologize to the country or apologize to the candidates or apologize to the voters. So
you say it was incumbent on the president to first investigate before he writes this letter.
Before he writes this letter, because he has that mandate. And even the ministers were there. Because at one polling station where I was, we had 2 ministers. We had Balaam and also the minister.
As observers?
They were I think they were keeping the votes for their NRM candidate. I had 2 ministers on one polling station, and there was a minister in charge of general duties, and then Balaam. They were at one polling station, meaning that even other ministers were at different polling stations. So he had all the apparatus of the government in Kawempe. They would have come up and actually summoned them before even issuing the statement.
All right. Let me hear from you, Mare. You seem to have something burning.
You know, it is an interesting topic. Ugandans and my sister here must know there is an institution called the Independent Electoral Commission.
It is.
Where it requests for security personnel. They request the personnel to help it guiding in the exercise, to keep law and order, depending on the magnitude of what they suspect. So it wasn't the chairman of the National Resistance Movement who requested for that. It is the Electoral Commission.
Are you sure it is the Electoral Commission?
The Electoral Commission
requested.
It is an independent. It requests.
And
depending on what they suspect.
Which is right. It is okay to request.
That is number one.
And we are not saying that they were actually wrong to be there.
For you to say, Mr. Museveni, the chairman of the National Resistance Movement, deployed. Then too, I did not see the chairman of the National Resistance Movement going to the Tare Center in Makerere University declaring results. It was electoral commission. For these other people who were not declared, those ones, the councillors, the what, it is the electoral commission to answer. Let us draw a distinction between the responsibilities.
Okay.
Entirely much of this is on the side of the electoral commission.
From your point of view,
Yes.
did the electoral commission do a good job in Kawempe as far as their mandate is concerned?
What is their mandate? What is
To
their
preside, to preside over, to prepare and organize and preside
And conduct.
over a fair and free election.
Didn't they produce a candidate? They produced a candidate.
But even your NRM candidate is complaining. Is going to court.
This is what I say.
And I
Everyone-
suppose the electoral commission will be a respondent in that petition.
Mr. Moderator, this is what I said on the onset. It is a shared blame. In Kawempe, it is a shared blame. If you allow me a minute to tell you this. Before even the late, may his soul rest in eternal peace, before he passed on, you would predict a chaos. At the time of his burial, may his soul rest in eternal peace, you saw chaos. You saw all this happening. At the time of selecting who is the flag bearer of unity platform, national unity platform, you saw chaos. At the time of selecting the national resistance movement candidate, the flag bearer, you saw chaos. The supporters of the independent candidates who did not get the flags on whichever side, you saw chaos.
But why?
No,
Why would Kawempe turn into a high stakes
why
by election?
Why, Mimale, I cannot control the emotions in you. I cannot. Everyone is affected different on the events that happens. I do not know how the supporters of Kalad, who didn't win a flag, would react. Neither did I know how the supporters of Muhammad Ruwemba would react, those of Nsereko, those of who would react. So they all reacted in such a way that there was a trigger. Our candidate was denied a flag. So it was a shared blame.
Mr. Male, you agree it is important that a criminal investigation should be conducted to audit the Kawempe by-election.
True.
You also support the idea that the NRM party, your party, should go to court and petition the result of the Kawempe by-election?
Yes, because in the law, in the electoral law, they say if there is they say from 4 and above boxes, they are smashed. You saw ballots being teared apart. You saw this. The law, we are following the law. And you were saying in that very letter, you people, you are vehemently quoting. My national chairman is talking about.
He writes as the president of Uganda.
My national chairman is quoting more than 50 boxes.
50 polling stations,
50,
not
yes.
boxes.
50, more than 50 polling stations had messes. Then it is the law now. It is the law now.
It is the law. This is the dialogue, still looking at the aftermath of Kawempe by-election and the emerging issues, especially the decision by the NRM to petition court contesting the result from the by-election, but also we are still probing the motivation behind all these efforts by the ruling party to take over Kawempe. You can be part of the debate. Send in your comments and observations. The numbers will run on the screen. Tell us what you think about what actually is happening. Dr. Jared Werewanzala, we've from the beginning, and we have discussed this issue of Kawempe to a larger extent. But did you envisage a moment where the NRM would reach a point where they have to petition court over the outcome of the Kawempe election?
Apple, while from the beginning, at the time of nomination,
knowing that it has been an opposition stronghold, it has been a seat for the opposition in parliament.
Yeah, if you play my voices here for the previous 1 month since the nominations took place, I was consistent in saying that there was no chance for the NRM to win that constituency.
It was your opinion?
It was my opinion. And it was very clear. I insisted on it, and it came to be. For the win of NUP, of course, it did not surprise me. Where I am surprised, I also predicted that there was going to be violence. And most likely the origin of the violence would be from state agencies. And exactly, it is what happened.
Are you sure about that?
Very
the president talks about indisciplined opposition.
No, Apple, let's be clear here. The DPC of Wandega is seen on the nomination day boxing NUP people, okay, on the streets, plus his men, as if they have killed his mom. Were those civilians who were doing it? We have seen soldiers carrying electricity cables on motorcycles, on border, whipping people on their heads.
Even
where those, as do civilians wear those UPDF uniforms? We see the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force. These are people with specialized training to tackle terrorists. And this agency was created under the anti-terrorism law to create coordination between the different agencies. We saw them there in action. Then we also saw Kifesi, when they are chased, they run towards the UPDF soldiers to aid them to escape. So if you look at all of this, can you translate this blame to the civilian who was in Kawempe? I think I wouldn't pretend. I think
the president blames the opposition.
Maybe the president is being briefed wrong because the president is a very busy person. He has been in Chigezi, now he's in Bunyoro on PDM. So he has to get all these reports to analyze them. But also you have seen some of his ministers who were at Kawempe, very dishonest on television, speaking like children. Actually, sometimes you get angry and you say, but is this person supposed to sit in a cabinet which President Museveni chairs? You know, because they are now treating the head of state like a child, you know, speaking whatever they want, laughing, and then they wear suits, the next they are escorted to go home. So anyway, let me leave that. And then I come to I don't want us to run away from the responsibility. Was the Electoral Commission charged with conducting a free and fair election? Yes, squarely the responsibility falls within them. Did they have a right to invite security to give protection to the vote? Yes, they had that right within the law. Was it proper? Did they invite the right security forces? Because over-securitization of election can lead to chaos, as you saw. Yes, they invited the police. And actually, some of them have been quoted saying some of the agents, we did not invite them. Only that when the violence intensified, they had the duty to come up and say, you know what? Please, let's go slow. Security, let's have you are putting us in very difficult circumstances.
Sure.
They did not make enough noise to cry foul, because at the end of the day, the blame goes to them. What is only shocking me is to see now the victims who became victorious crying, but again the aggressor is crying more. And you see, as I conclude, they say that if you are going to seek equity in law,
Go with
you want to go and seek redress, you must go with clean hands. Are you going to seek redress with the clean
So NRM
hands?
is going to seek justice.
Yes.
Yes,
but
you are going
with-
to
Yes.
with the dirty hands.
yes, you're going with
No,
dirty
no, no,
hands to go and seek justice. I don't know what the outcome
That's
will
your
be.
opinion. Thank you so much, Doctor. And viewers, I implore you to use that number by only sending written messages. Send messages on WhatsApp, send messages on SMS or by SMS. Let's hear from you. Tell us what you think about this election and the direction the whole process is taking. Because I'm sure from you, Farida, the exercise is still going on until possibly we see a member of parliament from Kawempe seated in that 11th parliament without a case hanging around his neck. Farida, let me hear from you before we go for a break. I'll be reading the messages later, but send in your comments and observations on the issue at hand. What I hear from Gerard, Dr. Gerard, is the aggressor is also crying, but also the victim. Well, they may have won the seat, the election, but they also have issues about this election. Even the NRM candidate, Ajat Farida Nambi, also is not also happy about what happened.
I think they're all right in their own perspectives. And because where I was, actually, that is where the candidate of NRM actually voted from. And what I witnessed is actually so sad that I saw, because at where that polling station where she voted from, her vote was not counted, first of all. So as a candidate, you
The
feel
ballot
bad.
boxes were smashed.
The ballot boxes were actually kicked. At that polling station, they were just kicked.
Who did that?
Because I am planning to be to file also if NRM
an affidavit.
an affidavit. If NRM goes to court, I'm also planning to be a friend of court.
Okay.
To be an independent observer, actually to give some information.
An independent petitioner.
Exactly, to help court also in their ruling. I'll give my evidence what I actually.
Is it what was called amicus curiae?
Amicus curiae. Yeah. So I'm trying to take that angle. So some of this information, I'll have to preserve it for court.
Okay.
If they go to court, that is. And if they don't go to court, it will still be in my report. But what I know is that it hurts a lot that after all the energies that she put in, at the end of the day, her vote did not count. And maybe her supporters also who voted her at that polling station did not count. So that alone, for me, we have to.
So there is a reason.
There's a reason
They should
for
be
her.
petitioning
She should go,
court.
Yeah, she can go to court, and whoever actually is guilty can be held accountable for that. Because as a candidate, she put in a lot. I think she left her kids, she left her husband, she put in a lot. So at the end of the day, money, if she did not actually have vote, did not count. And as observers and as people who actually advocate for integrity in elections, we feel that everyone's vote should count.
Yes.
In this case, her vote did not count.
Yes.
So the electoral and all other people, the councillors, like I said, their votes did not count.
Yes.
So what happens? What should we tell those people? Should we actually encourage them that next time maybe your vote will count? So even us who are actually lobbying for telling people that actually your vote counts, we are stuck. I think given the fact that he's still saying that the electoral commission. The mandate, everything lies upon the electoral commission. I was in that election, and I roved around most of the polling stations. I also had observers in different polling stations, but I still think we still have to interrogate how we can help the electoral commission actually be in charge of the elections in this country, and how do we protect our electoral commission, because it is our electoral commission. It is ours. We are not going to send it to Kenya to actually.
Are you concerned?
I'm very concerned.
Are you concerned that the electoral commission has delayed in gazetting
exactly
the winner?
Given the fact that the tensions in
that
Kawempe and everything that was happening, in Kawempe, they should have gazetted Nalukola by this time. I don't know what is actually making them delay. I am not so sure about that. I will get to understand it and know why they are delaying it. But they basing on the experience, they should, some of these things should be cleared in the way for them to actually play their part and then make other people believe that they still have a bond to give birth to twins, despite the fact that they are 80 years or 70 years. You know. So for me, I think the Electoral Commission should should play their role as per the law and do that.
You think they are not doing enough?
They are slowing down the process. I think they should do enough to actually make sure that they are not held accountable at any one point, despite the fact what happened in Kawempe. And then there's other thing that finally I want to bring the public to actually to know the role of the polling constable. I was standing with a polling constable at that polling station where actually even the public, I'm here to blame the public. Why would you stone people? Yes. You know, people were throwing stones. You know, our life was at stake.
Sure.
So despite the fact that the security was also trying to beat up people innocently, even the public was continuously at that polling station.
Oh, the public was aggressive.
Yeah, they were actually throwing stones too. So you are throwing a stone, you think you're throwing it to the security person, but even us who are innocent, trying to actually observe the election, were actually hit. So I think the polling, but I'm calling upon, we have to interrogate the role of a polling constable. They were hopeless. They did not play any part. I don't think.
Could it be a reason why the army was deployed?
I think so, because the polling constables were like me as an observer. They were just observing.
But what would they have done anyway?
Why are they there? Because according to the law, they're supposed to be there.
Thank you. We're going for a break. Yes. Our time is up. Okay. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us, but we need to go for a break. When we return, we'll be looking at your messages and comments as well as observations, but we're still looking at the aftermath of the Kawempe by-election. What really happened?
Really happy for this.
Does it really warrant?
Share the blame.
Please. Does what happened really warrant this push to call for a criminal investigation? Does it also warrant a court process or a petition in courts of law or not? Let's go for a break. When we return, the dialogue will delve into those and other matters. Don't go away. We'll return after this short while.